top 5 Brett Yormark innovations. We cut off the S here. But these are 5 things he's already done. And I don't want this to sound like a Valentine for him. We talk about it all the time, but it is 5 things that have happened in the short time he's been the commissioner of the Big 12. Number 5, opening the doors for more realignment, because it could have been really easy for him to say, look, we're at 12. I got to focus on these 12. But looking forward and saying, look, if you're interested, the door's open.
Doesn't mean you have to be interested. Doesn't mean you have to want to knock on the door and walk through it.
This is juxtaposed to the previous conference that when expansion was brought up, they did this little dog and pony show just meant to be like, well, we are investigating. But, it was a waste of time for everybody involved.
I still get a kick out. You're right. I'm not going to get a sidetracked here. I still get a kick out of how the Big 12 looks like they're trying to raid the Pac-12 when the Pac-12 took a Big 12 team back 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah,
wanted more.
Yeah, and I don't think that Brett Yormark could be accused of being a raider here, but I think he's an opportunist in that he has made it, he wants to give them a soft landing wherever it happens, whatever that happens, as opposed to the way that it used to be of we're the Big 12. We don't need anybody else.
Yeah.
We're fine.
Everything's fine. And then all of a sudden, 3 times you've been rated, and it could have been 4 or 5.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 4, media tours outside of the bubble. The thing they did with Huggy Bear and Scott you saw last year. They'll do more of this stuff. But we in this world, particularly in Texas, where the conference lies, sometimes forget that the borders don't stop. There's not a force field around the state. We get myopic. We think about, well, this is how it is here. That's all I care about. Well, what I will tell you is that outside of Baylor basketball and in the major sports, in the 2 major sports, in the dominant sports, men's basketball, Baylor basketball in 2021 and Texas football in 2005, in the modern era, there are not national championships overflowing in this state since the late 70s.
In those 2 major sports. The last Texas team to win an NCAA championship, am I right to say it was UTEP?
In basketball, yes. And
was it Don Haskins and UTEP in the 60s?
Yeah.
Houston, of course, my God, so close.
And then the Longhorns won in the late 60s. And when was Earl's? Was it?
They lost to Notre Dame in 77.
77.
Texas, before 05, their last national title was one where they won the national title. They split it with Nebraska in 1970.
In 1970. So part of that is because the Southwest Conference thought we don't need anybody. Well, they didn't need you either, apparently, when you have that attitude. And the other conferences were saying, well, how can we go and get this kid from this place and this kid from this place? And they thought about, the Southwest Conference's big problem was everybody thought about being Texas or being A&M or beating, Arkansas. And, Nebraska was thinking about beating Miami. They weren't just thinking about beating Oklahoma.
They were trying to figure out how to beat Miami.
No, but they were thinking about it, right?
Oh, yeah.
At the end of it,
back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day. Well, that's how they grew into a national power. That's how you grow into national power, is think nationally. And this is the same thing of how do you grow your conference to attract people who are not from around it. Look, you can advertise, and you need to advertise in your own area a lot, but to get bigger, you have to grow your market. And that's what they're doing, and I think it's pretty smart. Number 3, Rucker Park. Right now, this is nothing more than a recruiting tool, which is great, because if you're talking about playing basketball, exhibition games, maybe, great, that's going to be fun. But what really is doing these youth camps where you can, hook them while they're young, the old, Marlboro plan. But if you do that, all of a sudden somebody will be like, you know what, I really did enjoy Grant McCaslin, who might be at Texas Tech here soon. Or, I really, who was the best coach to me when I was in 5th grade at that camp at Rucker Park was Bob Huggins or whatever. I really liked him. And then when you're 18 and Bob Huggins calls and offers you your scholarship, you're like, you know what?
I remember Huggins.
I remember
Yeah,
that was nice. That
a
was
cool
great.
moment. Yep.
That was a good moment for me. So these are things, and again, outside the bubble. Number 2.
Yeah, guess what it was today? It was across most every sports headline. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's no cooler place for basketball that's not like college or NBA than Rucker Park. I mean, it's just, it's awesome. Everyone knows about it. Number 2, the conference-wide pro day. This will be copied by everyone.
Within how long?
2 years.
Okay.
I would say logistics are the only thing that would slow it down.
Well, yeah, because you might already have things scheduled.
Yeah.
And you'd have to see what timelines or commitments you have going forward. Most pro days are on campus, so yeah, it like the SEC is about to be how many teams?
Well, it'd be 16 teams.
Big 10, 16 teams. Big 12 is going to have 14.
Look,
but I wonder,
the Big
you know what
10
I'm interested in? When was the pro day? That's next year, right?
Yeah.
Will Texas and Oklahoma be a part of the Big 12 pro day at the Star?
I don't know. I guess we'll have to see.
Because then it would be 14, and and you hope that they are, but you don't know.
But look,
how much you want to bet they're going to be separate? They'll be on their campuses.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know.
But the Big Ten, look, the Big Ten right now, like the real combine, the NFL combine is in Indianapolis. They could just call Indianapolis and be like, hey, how about 3 weeks later we do it all again?
Yeah.
And the city of Indianapolis loves hosting things.
Yeah, they do. And they do an amazing job of it.
So that would
Tons of
already be
hotel
set
rooms.
up.
Yep.
Guess what else? Other city loves hosting things? Atlanta. You call up Atlanta and said, we'd like Mercedes-Benz Stadium for the SEC Combine, done. Or the prac facility, whatever you want. The conference ride pro days at the Star. So, which makes probably more sense than having it at the stadium. But having an event, maybe at the SEC might have to be a little bit bigger because
That is
there's
going
more
to be
teams.
such a
But
damn fun event.
It'll
to
be a
part
cool
of.
thing as opposed to most pro days. And I know that you might watch them on TV and be like, man, it would be great to be there. No, it's not. It's terrible. It's
boring if you're there because you really don't have
You're-
the best views. And there was a time with Baylor, you could be right there when they're running the 40,
But
right there with Gil Brandt when he had a
sometimes they
stopwatch.
like put you in a corner.
Yeah.
And then you're like, who is that?
You
over
feel
there?
like-
I
you
can't.
feel like you're
looked
in-
like he was going fast.
You feel like cattle.
Yeah, you do. And so this will be better because then the expectation is, I'll be up here in the stands doing this, but I know what's going on. There'll be something on the scoreboard would be cool.
Yep.
And number 1, I think this is pretty obvious, the TV deal.
Yeah.
The moment that he decided wait, they decided there's no line. Why are we waiting in line for this? Let's just call them up and ask them if they want to do something now. And they said yes. Huh. What about
It's
that?
not even the 31.7 or whatever, 31.6. It's not the length. It's that he was able to get it done, very low maintenance, and they don't have to worry about it. And unfortunately for the Pac-12 or George Kliavkoff and others, it's kind of become just a drama, even if it works out for them in the end, which that would be great. But, yeah, no, he got it done. It was unexpected, even though it's like in the old days, well, we have to wait for the Pac-12. Okay. And then the Pac-12 gets all of the inventory, and then you're now in the position where they are.
Well, I mean, ours is not up for 2 years.
Yeah.
Well, seeing where things are going. By the way, there's a discussion about